Hello and welcome to the piloting guide for Lil Scrappy. Now, it's been a while since I've done some videos because I had my video editor bomb out on me and got corrupted, and turns out Movie Maker is no longer supported to download on Microsoft's website. Anyways, back at it, and here's just kind of like a little miscellaneous spot of mine. Lil Scrappy is a small salvage robot who has been repurposed. This is the Lil Scrappy Model C. Why is he Model C? Because he's the combat model. And he is as jury-rigged as ever. So much like the original Lil Scrappy, he sports a claw arm, rocket shoulders, a mounted, a standard cannon array, just kind of like a spray and pray shotgun on his torso, an armored harness that will absorb heavy weapons fired against the body, and a extremely high-powered buzzsaw that can absolutely rip holes in other machines pretty damn easily. It's about as powerful as a buzzsaw could ever hope to be. About Lil Scrappy in just a brief rundown. Originally a repurposed salvage bot, originally just a normal salvage bot. Lil Scrappy was sent in with high speed, high maneuverability, small size, and high armor to retrieve damaged components in the heat of battle. Yes, it's just random lore. But the lore birthed this little guy, and he is absolutely hilarious. I don't know what it is about this guy. I find him to be absolutely comical in every way, especially the buzzsaw of doom. Never underestimate that thing. Now, to the actual point, the Model C has repurposed its combat claw. If you notice, it has a large box magazine mounted to the back, and boy, is it crammed in there, really jury-rigged. It has a laser sight coming off of the actual claw. You've never seen the original Lil Scrappy, but the arm is also longer, and the claw is also slightly thicker. That is all to mount a 3/8 jackhammer inside his arm. Though what a 3/8 jackhammer is, it's 3 tank guns that fire in a 3-piece rhythm continuously as a machine gun would. A jackhammer is just any tank gun that fires rapid fire continuously with a consistent sense of rhythm. That's basically all there is to that. So, for the actual piloting part of this, let's get going. If you haven't noticed already, I have a custom crosshair, a custom directional indicator, and a custom HUD up in the upper side of the screen. You can find all those files linked in the description below. If you're here from Steam, check the link in the description because you generally can't post, I think, whatever medium I'm using, Mediafire or Dropbox links in Steam without them censoring the links. So absolutely get the link here and hopefully download the files. You'll want to place the script file, I think it's a .cs file called MTMScrappy, in your Machinecraft user data /scripts. You want to place the MTM HUD folder into your user data /images, and then you want to have the MTM HUD be a subfolder in that folder, and you will want to have any of the sounds also and contain its own subfolder. I believe it's called Heather. Yeah, because that's the siren for this bot. Should also be placed in user data /sounds. Now, that's most of that, and you should place the crosshair and the directional indicator, and possibly also the targeting circle, seeing how it's probably included in the zip, inside your user data /images. User data /images, which is also where the MTM HUD goes. I don't know if I said user data /textures. If I said that, I'm totally wrong. It's images. Right. Now, so running through weaponry pretty briefly, you'll notice that you can toggle the laser sight on the left arm with R. Leaving it on is kind of unstealthy, and if you need to get close with the buzzsaw, having a big old laser sight that warns the enemy in advance might not be the best if your enemy's, actually intelligent. So yeah, running through the controls here, Lil Scrappy uses an omni-turbine setup. What does that mean? Well, that means if you push S, you go back. If you push W, you go forward. If you push A, you go left. If you push D, you go right. Wait, that's just thrusters. Yes it is. And you push space, you go up, and if you push X, you go down. X may also be your stick key, so feel free to rebind this to left shift if you want. There is technically a float button down to left shift, but I would absolutely 1,000,000% just discard that float button if you need to. I rebind my stick key to M because I almost never, ever use it. I would consider doing the same if you feel the same way, but whatever you bind it to is your own business. I just find X a very great key for crouching and generally descending, so for me that's great. Now, here's the thing you want to know about omni-turbines. You can combine directions in any combination you can imagine. If you're thinking this is just like any other system, you are also wrong, and I'll get to that in a minute. W and S goes forward and left. A and S goes left and back. space and W goes forward and up, and you can do this in virtually any combination set you can think of. To my knowledge, any two combination of keys will not cause any conflicts. There is a back and left control listed as A plus S. That was the only conflict that would appear on these turbines, and that is resolved by having that key bound. If you want to take a look at the Omni turbines and use them yourselves, absolutely do so. If you're wondering why there's a dummy set of thrusters with no commands on them, but opposite settings on the rotators that move them, that is to balance out the Newtonian reaction of the turbine adjusting to a new rotation, so it does not throw off the aim greatly. Lil Scrappy is, however, so small, he gets a little bit of jerk from things still, as you'll notice, strafing side to side. Don't pay that too much mind, it's pretty simple setup. Now, finally, getting to what actually makes Omni turbines great and different than other turbines, is this baby has an afterburner switch on F. In any direction, or any two directions you can think to move, you can push F in and you can move at incredibly high speeds. And you can just hold F down and you can cruise all day long, so as long as you'll burn out of energy. And that is actually the best part about Omni turbines. You can jump over things, you can stomp to the ground, you can dash left to right in zigzags, you can do any crazy thing you can imagine. And as a result, Lil Scrappy's piloting skill ceiling for actually moving is extraordinarily high, and that is a point I am willing to boast quite nicely. Once again, this is all open source, so if you want to take a look at all of his tech, go ahead and do that. I guess I'll say briefly, Lil Scrappy isn't actually an MTM. His script is called MTMScrappy because I was lazy about renaming something, and he does use MTM HUD because he's MTM-like in stature, being a bipedal flying robot with 2 arms and a chest. And figured I could reuse the same HUD files, so it wouldn't be too inaccurate. He even uses an MTM-style cockpit, but I reuse all my cockpits on all my bots basically anyway, so that doesn't really make him an MTM either. And finally, so let's get to the other things he can do other than moving, shall we? The shoulder gun, as you can see including here in the upper right, is with E. You can fire that, and it cannot aim worth half a crap, and it shoots really fast. And that's the best thing about it. Now, Lil Scrappy can't maintain this gun for very long, because it is pretty heavy in firepower. Well, it can't maintain it long at 350%. If you're playing above 350, you might be able to maintain that for a few seconds longer. Even 450 will about do that. And if you're playing in high spec, he's going to be able to do anything all day long, because he's built for mid-spec, I should mention right here, right now. Now, finally getting around to some of the other controls, you can toggle first-person camera with middle mouse. If you notice, the laser sight isn't very accurate in third person. That's because it is actually slanted inwards to create an optical illusion of that creates more accuracy of where it lines up in the picture in first person. This means it is not accurate in third person, but it is extremely, strangely, mysteriously accurate in first person. Now, finally, he has a saw on his right arm. Oh yeah, and you fire the left arm with left mouse, because it's the left arm. And you fire the saw with the right mouse button. It's pretty simple. Now, the saw actually has more range than it looks like. Let me demonstrate briefly. More range. Also, note how incredibly hard that thing hits. It absolutely just ripped every limb off that enemy. And, yeah, it's pretty goddamn merciless, if I say so myself. And the saw is actually like 16 swords, plus anti-parry, plus 1 amp on each, I think, and that is just buku damage. It hits for a few hundred damage per second. It's absolutely moronic, and it will rip parts off things. I found sometimes I can even find giant bots and tunnel inside them using the saw if they have certain breakable bodies in just the right spots. So this saw is really your haymaker. If there is any questions to be asked and any problems you need to resolve, the best way to do it is just to dash at your target and rip some limbs off. Now, in this case, you're basically just burning out of energy, because why wouldn't we? The saw and afterburner combined is extremely intensive at 350%. 350%, that's a pretty suicidal maneuver, and it probably won't work out pretty well. But anywhere else, it's worth considering, and you could at least move 200, 300 kilometers somewhere between, in most conditions anyway, so it's pretty easy to actually move and maneuver close range into your saw. And let's see, moving on to the actual other weapons, we have the shoulder-mounted rockets, which you can see here, and you can fire those with Q. And if you hold it down, it'll continue to fire. Normally, it will just fire 2 at a time, and it fires in a 4-piece pattern delayed. This is so you can actually just kind of guess where your enemy's going to be in a rough area and just swing a little bit and just carpet bomb the whole area with a whole bunch of missiles. It has very fast refire, but very short range. This means you can refire very rapid fire style once every 2 seconds and just keep lining up more and more shots. But if you just hold down the key, it's going to go a little sloppy and weird. So just be aware of that. Yeah. Let's see. Next up, we have the shields button with 9. This will create a small yellow bubble shield around Scrappy. I'm not sure if this entirely protects the solid due to some technicalities with it. This will protect most of your limbs from small arms fire. Combined with good maneuvering, you could find this shield might actually even last you a good while in combat. If you don't do good maneuvers, it will get punched through relatively easily, but the small size also kind of helps you not get shot all too much. Although there is, of course, no guarantee. And finally, getting on some of the miscellaneous controls, we have the box mode transformation with numpad 8. You fold up into a little box. The arm on the left fits a little weird because it wasn't, intended to fold up into a box with a gun on the other end. And yeah, the right arm buzzsaw seems to flip in circles, and I'm not really sure why. It's not entirely clear. I might look into fixing that later. Let's see. We have cockpit, which you can pop with numpad 5. This man also almost doesn't disable any of the aiming apparatuses. This will probably engage at the end of any competitive game you play, such as Free Fight or Team Battle, and it will automatically pop the cockpit for the remainder of the break zone until it resets. If you're wondering how the hell it does that, it's script magic, long story short. It just detects if there's ever a game, and if there's a game running right now. And there's not a lot to it. You can check out the code. That's also basically open source at this point. And finally, we have the float lock with B. This may not be properly balanced 100%. Yeah, Lil Scrappy's falling a little bit, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to revise his float lock to actually be properly calibrated before I upload him. But for now, it just kind of slows his falling. When you actually have the bot, it should make him float in place almost entirely elevation-wise. You can use that anytime you'd have to be holding space a lot to keep staying in the air. You can just use it to start cruising and flying around at a consistent height. This makes you pretty predictable for where to shoot in terms of elevation, and the higher you are, the more exposed you are to everyone's eyes. So I advise not floating unless you are in very precarious air fight. Finally, you can do temporary floating with holding left shift, which will basically do the same thing. If you're overriding this control, ignore this. Overriding it and eliminating the control will not do anything weird. It should just disable the temporary float control, which is kind of miscellaneous. And the laser toggles with R, as I may have already said at this point. Now, I know this is a bit long, but that's one of Lil Scrappy. You can use him socially because he's cute and adorable and will rip people's limbs off horribly. You can use him in a battle mode because he's passable. Not exceptional, but passable. He's not too costly as far as cost goes, so you can get a lot of these guys. You can make a good support bot even. And past that, he's mostly just for messing around with and having fun. I expect some people are going to be trolling with this bot in no time, just due to its small nature, fast size, and horribly, horribly deadly buzzsaw. But I'd be lying if I said that wasn't part of the experience with Scrappy. So thanks for tuning in. Until next time, WCCC signing out.